Hey there, Westerosi. Welcome back to Mike Meeple's Painting Poorly miniature painting tutorials. Today we're continuing our series of beginner painting tutorials for CMON Games, A Song of Ice and Fire the Miniatures game, by taking a look at a non-combat unit from the Baratheon faction, the Red Woman, Melisandre. I'm going to be basing my paint job off of her appearance in the HBO series, because she is just a beautiful— oh my god! Oh my eyes! Different picture! Okay, there you go, okay, whew! Her basic look is red on red, so we're going to be using multiple shades of red to create interest, so she doesn't just become a red blob, along with a few key accent colors. The Melisandre Mini has a bit of a bad reputation online for some copies of the Mini having a nose that makes her look closer to He Who Shall Not Be Named than anything else, so we'll need to make sure that we don't use a primer that's too thick in order to preserve as much detail as possible. I'm using my airbrush to apply a zenithal prime to the figure by using 3 different Stynylrez primers. First, completely covering her in black, and once that dries, applying a coat of gray from a 45-degree angle. Before finishing off with a blast of white from directly above. As you can see, this helps bring out the natural shadows and highlights of the figure. When it's all done, it's time for base coats. I'll be starting off with some Blood Angels Red by Citadel, and using that to paint her dress. Blood Angels Red is from their Contrast Colors line, so using this with a zenithal prime will give us all the shading we'll need, along with providing us a rudimentary highlight that we can expand upon later, but in general this is going to do most of the heavy lifting for us. If you're unable to do zenithal priming, you can still use Blood Angels Red on a white undercoat, you just won't have quite this much depth to the shading. After that, we'll be using Red by Vallejo mixed with equal parts water to paint her hair. This is a darker shade of red than the Blood Angels Red, and will create just enough contrast between her clothing and her hair to keep her looking interesting. After that, we'll take Basic Skin Tone by Vallejo, mixed with equal parts water, and paint the skin. You'll want to apply more than one coat in order to make sure the skin looks even. Just make sure you wait for the first coat to dry completely before adding another. Next, we'll be using Old Gold by Vallejo straight out of the bottle to paint the trim of the dress. Holding the brush sideways and using the side of the brush can help give you some better control when you're working on the trim of the sleeves. This is also the color you'll want to paint her choker. Next, take some dark sand by Vallejo, mixed with equal parts water, and paint the drawstring on the front of her bodice. Go slowly, and try to use a light touch. It doesn't take much pressure at all to paint these small details. When it's all dry, it's time for shades. We'll start with some flesh wash by the Army Painter. Just apply the wash to all of the skin, trying not to let it pool too much anywhere. You can also apply it to the drawstring in the front. Next, we'll be using red tone by the Army Painter on the hair. When that's all dry, it's time for highlights and finishing touches. We'll start off by highlighting the face and skin. Apply highlights to the forehead, down the nose, the chin, and the cheekbones. For the arms, paint the shoulder, and then paint down the front and side. Try to pick out some of the detail of the knuckles on the hand. We'll start off by highlighting the face and skin. Apply highlights to the forehead, down the nose, the chin, and the cheekbones. For the arms, paint the shoulder, and then paint down the front and side. Try to pick out some of the detail of the knuckles on the hand, and for her chest, start off by painting the clavicle and working your way down her chest, trying to stay in the middle away from the darkened edges. Next, we'll be adding a second level highlight to the skin using Light Flesh by Vallejo to paint the center of the forehead and chin and the edges of the cheekbone. For the chest, paint just the clavicle itself and the center of where you previously highlighted. Paint the top of the shoulders and call it a day for the skin. Now, get your red and paint in her eyebrows and lips. Don't be afraid to repaint the forehead to help shape her eyebrows. For her lips, aim for the center of her mouth. That should have more than enough paint to cover both lips. Since you have your red out, let's work on the hair. Paint a highlight from the top of her head, moving from the center outward. Pick a few locks of hair to highlight, and make sure you highlight areas like where the hair falls on the shoulders. Now take some dark vermilion by Vallejo and apply a secondary highlight to the hair by painting a smaller portion of all the areas you've just highlighted. After that, we'll use some amaranth red by Vallejo to give the dress a little extra pop. Really just use this on the brightest highlights of the dress to make each fold even brighter. When that's all finished, make sure you paint the base however you like, and spray it with your matte spray. But before you put it away, let's grab some Tamiya Clear Red, and let's paint the jewel in the middle of the choker. We do this after we've already sprayed the model because Tamiya Clear Red finishes with a high gloss for a reflective jewel-like effect, which would be dulled if you sprayed it afterwards. That's it, guys! Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. I want to give a big shout out to all my patrons whose generous support helped me make quality content like this. And if you're interested in becoming a patron yourself, information on how to do so can be found in the description for this video, along with links to all the supplies I used today, and a link to my blog where you'll find more tutorials for games like A Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game. And if you like this video and would like to see more, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Westerosi.